Hi guys, look, it's me doing a little bit of an everyday tutorial. I get asked a lot about how I do my face, so this is just something that I normally do if I want to do a little bit of a face for work. I'm starting with a liquid highlighter by LA Colors, a really nice drugstore liquid highlight, and I'm using a Real Techniques brush just to blend everything out. I'm using various parts of the brush depending on how much of a blend I want and the areas of my face that I'm blending. So I use basically the entire brush when it comes to my cheekbones. I like to think of this brush a little bit to Rihanna's shark tooth brush or the cheek hugging highlighter brush or whatever it's called. And I'm using just the pointier parts of it for my brow bone, the bridge of my nose, and a little bit on my my top lip as well, where I did a little bit of a highlight. Just admiring that glow. Alright, moving on to foundation. I'm using my Fenty Beauty foundation just because it dries down to a nice soft matte finish and I don't have to set it, so that takes a whole step out of my routine. I do not set my foundation here in this weather, so I actually use it sometimes as well, in this case as a concealer. I'm using it in my lower part of my eyes, and I'm going to be using it on my lid as well. It also covers up my scars from my acne pretty well, so I really enjoy using this foundation. I'm also using a Real Techniques brush in this case here because it's nice and small and it fits into my eye sockets really well just to blend everything out. I'm just taking the last bits of it on my cheeks and blending it down to my neck as well. I'm probably gonna need a little bit more just to get a little bit more coverage. This is an everyday look, but I do use this as my base sometimes if I do really need to get a focus on my eyes and I just want to really swift through and go really quickly through my face makeup. So it's nothing super heavy and it's nothing super complicated either. Right, now on to contour and bronzing. I'm gonna start with this shade from Sephora and a big fluffy brush from Real Techniques just to bronze. It's a nice warm shade and I'm not super picky about it, just being a little sloppy and just putting it on everywhere. That's a little trick that I like to do. I pinch the bristles of the brush together just when I want a light contour on my nose. And this NYX Cosmetics shade it's a little bit of a cooler tone, and I'm using a larger tapered brush, a really nice fluffy brush, just to be a little bit more precise in certain areas, just to lightly sculpt my cheekbones as well. And doing the same pinching technique for the bridge of my nose. It's a really hot day, so. Now onto my eyes. I'm using my Flamingo Pro palette, a gift I got from Dawn, and I'm going in with the shade Sandals and Sand. Sandals is a really lovely reddish brown shade. It has like all these it's basically the perfect fall shade, all these warm tones, everything you'd want in a warm shadow. And I'm using this fluffy brush that I got so many years ago. I don't remember the brand because the name of it scrubbed off, and it's a dual-ended brush and it's one of my favorites. No matter how many other fluffy brushes I've used, I always come back to this one. It always gets the job done perfectly. And I'm just blending this in my crease using the famous windshield wiper motions and little bits of circular motions as well in the corners, just to get everything blown out and just to get a really nice wash of color. Next, I'm taking the flat side of the brush and I'm gonna dip into sand. It's a really nice creamy off-white kind of color, and I'm just gonna lightly press that onto my lid just to blend everything together and set my eyelids as well. Now I'm just taking a little bit more of sandals and brushing that on my lower lash line, just to make everything nice and cohesive. For mascara, I'm just using this is a Amazonian clay one, I believe, from Tarte, and just doing my lower lash line first. I feel like this reduces the risk of getting mascara everywhere all over my face after I spent all that 5-6 minutes just doing my face, you know. So just reduces the risk of that, and just makes it a little bit easier for me to have to worry about doing my top lashes. Now I'm just gonna do what could be the final step. I'm just doing a little bit of a lip with this NARS lip paint. It's an American Woman. It's just a nice nude mauve kind of color, and I'm just brushing that on and smoothing it out with my finger just to blend it. Now I could finish at this step, but I decided to do a little bit of eyeliner because I get so many questions about my eyeliner as well. So I'm doing Physicians Formula. It's a brush tip that is made to look like a felt tip, and I think it works beautifully. It's a really nice thin tip as well, and I just measure out and check the angle that I want to do, and I did the very last line at the edge of my eyeliner first, and then I'm working my way in. So I just measured them with the pen, and I'm just drawing them on now just to connect everything. I do have round eyes, so I try to do my eyeliner a lot thinner on the inner corner of my eyes, just so I can get that tapered effect. So it starts thin on the inner corner and gets a little bit bigger as we go to the end of it as well. One thing that I always do is when I'm measuring my eyes for the eyeliner as well, I look straight into my mirror and always have my eyes open just a little bit. And you just like to get as close to your lash line as possible. And we all have our problem eyes. It could be either your left or your right. Mine is normally I would say my left is the problem eye. So I take a little bit of extra time. I do a little bit of extra weird faces when it comes to my left eye. And sometimes I have to use my fingernail to clean it up. But never mind, they look fine. And I'm just using Gimme Brow to set my brows finally. I don't always do this step because I like my natural brows and I don't always like fill them in or do anything super crazy. Normally they might have a little bit of foundation on them, so I just kind of wipe it off. And this completes the look. I do a little pose and thank you.